Hello, lovely Libra. Oh, I love Libra. Oh, I've got your gorgeous forecast here for July. And you can see lots of beautiful activity there. I'm going to explain it to you in detail. First, I want to mention a couple of things that I think you might be interested in. First of all, many of you have taken advantage of my gift of a free copy of your natal chart. It's not the interpretation, it's the chart itself. And so you've gotten the chart and you said, now what do I do? Well, you can either have an astrologer read it to you, or you can learn how to read it yourself very simply. And you might say, well, how do I do that? Cheap plug. Get my book. Now that I've cast it, what do I do with it? I wrote it several years back. I've upgraded it, updated it. It's available on Amazon. It is a terrific way to use the best book in the world, that's the one between your ears, so that you don't have to memorize all kind of fact. You have the basics, and then let the astrologer within you express itself. Okay? That's number one. Number two, have you gotten my summer eclipse special yet? This is something I know you're going to want because we are in very strange times now. Very strange. Things are coming to a head. And as I look forward into 2020, I saw that we're building to a culmination that will end that will come to a head at the end of 2020. Now, I haven't looked at 2021 yet, but light workers, our time is fast approaching to step forward and express on our highest and best levels. So, have you gotten my summer eclipse special? If you have not, you might want to go ahead and do it. It starts in July and it ends with the first eclipse of 2020. It includes 4 eclipses, 2 Mercury retrogrades, and 6 full moons along with the regular transits. I think you'll enjoy it very, very much. And everybody is invited to my free full moon ceremony on July 16th at the Phoenix and Dragon bookstore here in Atlanta. If you don't live in Atlanta, just tune in. No matter where you are on this planet, we start at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Convert your time zone to Eastern Daylight Time and join us. It is a beautiful ceremony. Lasts about an hour. Now, it's on an eclipse, so it could last a little longer because I have huge crowds on an eclipse. And everyone is invited. Costs you nothing. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. Let's start with there are 2 things that are huge this month. The 2 eclipses and Mercury retrograde. For those of you who don't know what I mean by Mercury retrograde, I'm going to explain it. Libra, there's Mercury right here, the blue planet. I'm getting ready to explain this in detail for you, but let me explain to everybody what Mercury retrograde means. Mercury rules communication, correspondence, and transportation. It rules our mouth and our minds. And when it goes retrograde, it appears to be moving backwards in the heavens. It's not. But it appears that way, and that's how it feels on planet Earth. Everything is confused. We do not sign contracts. We do not start new projects. We don't make promises on a retrograde Mercury because anything begun on a retrograde Mercury either fizzles out completely or has to be redone within the year. Now, Mercury goes retrograde on July 8th, 7th, 8th. And it goes direct, meaning it comes out of retrograde July 31st and to August 1st, right in that time period. But we feel the retrograde for about 2 weeks ahead of time and 2 weeks after it goes direct. This is when it's in what we call the shadow of the retrograde. If you haven't watched my video, Mercury retrograde, the prequel and the sequel, it's on YouTube. Look at it. It explains what the shadow of the retrograde means. So we're not going to start new projects, if at all possible, while Mercury is in the shadow of the retrograde, either the prequel or the sequel. However, once it is officially direct and out of retrograde, you can move forward if you're not experiencing the symptoms. If you are experiencing the symptoms, just take care of them, handle them. And so August 15th will be when Mercury comes out of the shadow of the retrograde. A lot to talk about, a lot to think about. So Libra, on July 7th and 8th, Mercury, which is in your 11th house of friends and group activities and all that good stuff, goes retrograde in 4 degrees of Leo. By the way, so does Mars is in 4 degrees of Leo that day. You've got the planet of war sitting next to the planet of communication. Avoid arguments. And I certainly hope our world leaders will do the same, because this could be a tricky time, okay? Mercury moves backwards into the 10th house of your public image and your career. So there may be something about your career that you need to redo, an opportunity that you were not able to take advantage of, that while Mercury is retrograde, you can work on. And then when it goes direct on the 31st, which is also the day of the new moon, and the new moon is when energy starts moving forward again. When Mercury comes out of retrograde, everything starts moving forward. So it's going to be a big day for us, a big time for us. I love that. Okay, so Mercury goes direct in your house of career and public image, and you can then start new projects and tie up the loose ends of unfinished ones during the shadow of the retrograde. Now, Venus, the pink planet, which is love and money and beauty, has been in your 9th house, and you've been ready to travel. Perhaps you have traveled. It brings a love of people from other places, faraway places. On the 3rd, Venus moves into your 10th house of your career and your public image. And what it does is it brings you popularity, recognition, and yes, perhaps a move upstairs. Remember, 10th house moves upward. On the 27th, it leaves the career arena and moves into friends and group activities, 11th house. It is gorgeous. And we love Venus because it makes you happy, or it represents happiness, okay. The sun, the yellow planet, starts off in the 10th house where you are the leader, where your career looks good, where people in authority love being with you. And then on the 22nd, it moves into the 11th house of friends, hopes, and wishes. Now, Mercury's still retro, and it's enough to drive you nuts, but it is. So what you'll do is rework relationships during that time. And Mars, the red planet, is war. It's arguing. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be fighting. Mars is what you throw yourself into. It's what comes first to you. And so being a friend and being with friends, that's number one to you. I love it. Now let's talk about those eclipses, shall we? Okay, July 2nd. This eclipse is the solar eclipse. It's in a new moon. It's in your 10th house. New beginnings in your career. Really lovely. Now we're in the shadow of the retrograde, so it's triggered, and you might have to wait until 3 to 4 months from now when the eclipses will be at their peak. Eclipses are strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur to get that promotion or advancement, okay? But it's there. And I love the way that looks. And remember that That's what we're talking about. Where the eclipse is, it brings the sun brings new life. Now, on July 16th, we have the lunar eclipse. That's the full moon. And on the full moon, everything comes to a head. It's in your fourth house of home, family, and real estate. Can involve the home. It can involve you simply wanting to be at home. You know, sometimes people are not close to their families, and when they have fourth house activity, they just love to sit in front of the tube with a remote in their hand. Okay? So, lunar eclipse, domestic issues can come to a head. If you're thinking of moving, this would be a time that you seriously consider it. Remember, Mercury's retrograde. Wait until after it goes direct, okay? And then the new moon on the 31st, when Mercury does go direct, the 31st of July, August 1st, right in that time period. This emphasizes new friends, new groups of people. And so you have both your career and your friendship circle and your family triggered. How lovely is that? Love it, love it, love it. So that's your forecast for July. I hope that you're excited about it. I would be if it were mine. And join me next month when once again I take a look at your forecast. Till then, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.